Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Ismail Bonfim to defeat Chris Padilla. He's going to show up on weight. He's going to get in his face. He's going to break the man down the stretch. Mark my words. All right. I'll get to that fight soon enough, but I'm here to recap UFC Fight Night 264. Bonfim, the good one, versus Brown versus the Board of Education. Let me address the stoppage first. I don't like to just harp on, the bullshit and the bets, really. I'd rather just talk about the fights here. The bets are what they are. But I do want to address this because I know you probably gamble if you watch this. So I just want to give you my thoughts on the stoppage and how it could have screwed over some bets. I do think Gabriel Bonfim was going to win this fight. I think he was in control of this fight throughout the whole thing. I do think he had Randy Brown seriously fucked up. I don't think Randy was hurt out of the fight in the moment, but I think it was over within moments. It was an eventuality or an inevitability. I know other big words too. But I do think Gabriel Bonfim, especially considering his skill set, was going to put Randy Brown away. And that's, probably because I think I've seen Randy Brown hurt and put away a few times, and there's a little bias in my head or whatever. I don't know. But I do think he was going to close the show. The crux of the matter, betting wise, is not only is the Hail Mary removed from Randy Brown getting a comeback there, that's off the table with the stoppage from Mark Smith, but also Gabriel Bonfim by submission was taken off the table. And I do think in that moment, I can't say it was more likely than knockout. Knockout must have been more likely than submission with Randy Brown being half concussed on the ground, but submission was definitely still in play. And I know the instincts of Gabriel Bonfim when there's a head sitting there waiting for him at the hip level, he's going to pounce on it. So submission was still in play. Not that it screwed up any major bets of mine. Those were pretty much lost on Randy Brown. But I could see how it might have screwed you over. So that kind of sucks when there's a shit stoppage. Now on to the fight. Gabriel Bonfim was winning that fight. And I think I said something about Randy Brown with the outside striking and all that. I just hope I didn't say anything about calf kicks specifically, because that was the story of this fight. I'm sure Randy Brown was seriously fucked up. He didn't go down at all, and he was, at worst half limping. But I saw at least a dozen calf kicks that made him turn 90 degrees. And I think that was definitely dictating the fight. And to be honest, without any major moments, and that's a big if there, I think Gabriel Bonfim was going to be dictating things the whole way. That's not something that typically gets better. And Gabriel Bonfim was measured, and I don't think he was going to burn himself out. Although, again, he's lost once, and that's how it happened. Kicked Nicholas Dalby's ass before getting his ass kicked. But still, without the stoppage, kind of leaving a sour taste in everyone's mouth, and certainly Randy Brown's. Randy Brown was protesting, I think, before Mark Smith stopped it. It was like, no, what are you doing? But he was fucking hurt, and that was a big knee. And Bonfim went back on his ass, too, with whatever happened there in the collision. But yeah, overall, great performance from Gabriel Bonfim and an excellent win. Even with whatever the stoppage being what it is, he still, in my opinion, decisively beat Randy Brown, and that's a major victory for him. And again, he gets it done in round two. I can't call this one down the stretch, and I certainly can't say he was tested too much because he was dictating things the whole way. It wasn't the most, exerting fight for him, but he had a comfortable victory over Randy Brown. It's incredible. And this guy, the sky's the limit. His one loss to Nicholas Dalby, again, it was a cardio collapse. That is something that can be fixed in the gym. Listen to me like I'm a fighter. I don't know. Maybe it's all mental, whatever. But he's definitely got a very high ceiling, and he's got a very high skill set. I think Gabriel Bonfim is still an incredible striker, but he's one of the most dangerous submission guys. And here, he misses the chance for the sub because he was too fucking dangerous with his knees. Great win for him. And for Randy Brown, another really tough loss. He was finished here. Again, it may not be clean, but he was fucked up. He was definitely concussed. And yeah, this is definitely a major setback. So tough loss for him in his first and potentially only UFC headliner spot. Randy Brown definitely put in the time more than Gabriel Bonfim did. Of course, he's had mixed results as opposed to Gabriel, but he really earned this spot. I almost said earned. He really earned this spot, and it's a shame it kind of ends like this. In the co-main event, Joseph Morales beat Matt Schnell by guillotine choke. Wasn't I harping on the fact that he didn't have one guillotine? He doesn't have one. That's why it's going the distance. Now, I believe I said I respect his. I'm sure he's got a respectable guillotine, training with alpha male his whole life. And of course, it is Matt Schnell's primary weakness. And here it hits the surface again. Another submission loss, another guillotine. Matt Schnell, he got the Anaconda, the Darce loss against Cody Durden, but I believe all the others are guillotines, including the exhibition fight against Tim Elliott. And Joseph Morales here, I know he was a big favorite, and it looks like he just did what he was supposed to do. But it's still awesome for him that he did it. He's got a lot of momentum. He has an Ultimate Fighter championship, a winning UFC record now. A guy that was 1-2 is now 3-2, and yeah, he's soaring right now. He's in his prime, and he wants to keep climbing. He's got nothing but forgivable losses, and some tough fights on the Ultimate Fighter, especially that semifinal against Imanol. That's how you say his name. But Joseph Morales, he's come out on top in every fight since leaving the UFC 7 years ago, and yeah, it's fucking awesome for him. For Matt Schnell, I love Matt Schnell, but yeah, he's a vulnerable guy in a lot of ways, and that skinny neck of his is one of them, and he gave it up here against a better grappler. So tough loss for Schnell. I don't know if we're going to be seeing him in the co-main event spot anytime again, but I love him. Euros Medic, might see him making some waves. Might see him at the top of cards soon. He got a nice TKO over Muslim Salikov. Just went through him pretty quickly. I picked Muslim to win. I thought Muslim Salikov would be dictating things with the kicks. And Euros Medic was laughing about that all camp, apparently. And he said he was going to work him with his hands. And he closed the show within 63 seconds. So excellent win for Euros Medic. Loved how he called for the bonus. I didn't know he was denied bonuses. I figured he was like a really potent bonus winner because I know he's as potent as it gets with finishes. But as spectacular as he is, yeah, he's not Mr. Bonus. So I believe he got one here, though, and he earned it. Big win over Muslim Salikov, who's just, yeah, he's 40 fuck years old, but battle tested veteran and near the middle of the division there, of the top. The middle of the top. You know what I mean. He's ranked. Chris Padilla beat Ismail Bonfim. Ismail Bonfim, I think, I don't know what the fuck happened with him. He just collapsed here, came in off weight, missed weight by however many pounds. And Chris Padilla, a guy that I have given no respect. I think it's about time. I mean, he's just answered every question. Wrong Jew, whatever. Not too bitter about that. He did what he needed to do. But yeah, he's come away with a victory every time. And here he really earned it. He drowned Ismail Bonfim. You could say he was ripe for the drowning. He was waiting for it, coming in out of shape and all that shit, whatever happened with him. But Chris Padilla still did it. Drowned him and refused to let up at the end of round two. Smelt a little blood in the water. And from a position where you don't often see finishes, he just closed the show, was relentless, and said, hey, this guy's not going to be able to move. I'm going to be able to pound him. Great win for Chris Padilla. This guy's got a lot of excellent traits, a really good underrated resume, and a ton of fucking momentum. What is he, 4-0 now? 5-0 in the UFC? I don't know. He's doing well, and I think I got to stop doubting him. But I'll never ever cease to doubt Ismail Bonfim again. Christian Leroy Duncan beat Marco Tulio. I thought Christian Leroy Duncan looked awesome here. Marco Tulio, I think, maybe spent a little too much energy looking to grapple. He's not the most thorough grappler, I think. I think he's got it there. And he did find success slowing down Christian Leroy Duncan, but not enough to even secure the round. I thought it fatigued him a little bit. Christian Leroy Duncan turned things around with grappling in the end of the round. Hit a nice slam, I believe, and got some nice positions on him. But on the feet, I thought it was Christian Leroy Duncan leading the dance the whole way through in those little pockets in round one and certainly in round two. And in the end, it does go down as a spinning back fist and punches. It was a spinning back fist. I don't know. There's like a window where you kind of have to cut off the strikes, I feel like, for the finish, because you can go back like a minute and go, no, the body shot got the ball rolling. But the spinning back fist was close enough to being within that window where that's the official thing on Sherdog. But yeah, he rocked him and then he chased him with some big shots and put him out. Great win for CLD. This guy's tough as all fuck. Not a lot of guys can stand up to the danger of Marco Tulio in the first place. And I bet even fewer can scare the danger out of him, scare him into grappling. And Christian Leroy Duncan did all of that and put him away in round two. Excellent fucking victory for CLD. And for Marco Tulio, another tough loss. He's got two losses, his second one by knockout, but he's still done enough recently where I'd say once his chin recovers, he's still got momentum and he's going to stay afloat in the UFC and probably kill some guys. And in the main event of the prelims, Jamal Emmers beat Haider Emil. I thought this was an excellent win for Jamal Emmers. I backed him to win here, and I thought he performed very well. But I'll admit, in round one, towards the end of round one, the second half, I felt like Haider Emil was starting to take over. Jamal Emmers had found success on the outside, moving well, and hit some takedowns at that point. But Haider Emil looked like he was doing that Haider Emil thing, where he was going to be walking him down like the Terminator and walking him down to the point of fatigue and eventually unconsciousness. But Jamal Emmers kept circling, landed some good strikes, a nice left hook, and kept himself active with those takedowns, and eventually outlasted Haider Emil. After a tough end to round one, I thought he looked good in round two, was able to rip Haider to the mat and then hit some nice mat returns and control him in the end. And he controlled him to the point at which he was fatigued for round three, where I thought he didn't really have anything for Jamal Emmers. Jamal Emmers controlled him throughout that round two, and in most of his ground control, throughout most of his ground control, he was threatening arm triangle chokes, and some came closer than others, but in general, nothing really got too close, but it was enough to totally neutralize Haider Emil. Haider Emil was holding on and battling for half guard and just fighting defensively. And Jamal Emmers was controlling him and beating him up in the little pockets where he could. So excellent win for Jamal Emmers. Neither one of these guys is really a spring chicken, but Jamal's the guy that's been through more. He's got a whole career behind him, a lot more mileage, and obviously because of that, some tougher losses and whatever. But hey, he put it all together here, showed a lot of great traits, and beat a really tough guy in Haider Emil, who will walk down a lot of other really good fighters. Raoni Barcelos beat Ricky Simon by decision. I thought this was a really good fight and a really good performance from Raoni Barcelos. And again, I feel like he outlasted Ricky. This might have been a Ricky round one, Raoni rounds 2 and 3. That's really how I scored it. I thought Raoni was clipped in round one. That was the big moment there. And I believe he was taken down and in general just slightly out hustled from Ricky. But in round two, I thought he had more hustle. I thought his wrestling was there for him. He kept threatening with single legs, some just to threaten, feints, you might call them, or whatever, and some real takedowns. And I thought his hands were sharper. He was very measured, great counter boxing. And I think in the end, he wasn't as reliant on counters when Ricky's speed wasn't an advantage for him. And Raoni was the sharper man, landed a ton of big right hands, and bloodied him up and beat him to a decision. Great win for Raoni Barcelos. Really tough loss for Ricky Simone, former, not a title challenger, but contender. And I say former because I do think this could have been a pivotal loss. But for Raoni Barcelos, man, he's got momentum. He's a guy that looked down and out. He was a 20-1 underdog against Peyton Talbot or whatever. And I believe I picked him to lose. So I don't know why I'm bringing that up. I'm one of the jerk-offs that was responsible for that line. But I do think that Raoni Barcelos is still an ass-kicking fighter in his prime. And he's soaring right now with a win over Ricky Simone. Jacqueline Cavalcanti beat Mayra Bueno Silva. I thought this was a pretty decisive victory for Cavalcanti. I think in general the physicality was a little too much. Not that she's built like fucking Kayla Harrison, but she's big and strong. She's got a fucking Ketlin Vieta thing going for her. Only she wins the decisions that should go her way. And yeah, here she steps over a really overlooked contender throughout the last few years. One of the better fighters, Mayra Bueno Silva. I know it's a bantamweight fight, and Jacqueline Cavalcanti is the more established bantamweight, but a really good victory, and she does so decisively. A finish would be nice, and a finish would expedite her title shot and all the rest of it, but this is still a very, very respectable victory to have a few fights into her UFC career. And for Mayra Bueno Silva, she's tough as all fuck. Another loss to a really good fighter in which she's not finished. Without the cut stoppage, she'll never be finished. She's really tough, and she's got skills that'll scare fighters from fighting her on the ground, remove half of their options right away just from the matchup. But she's definitely not the best on the feet, and she's only getting less athletic and strong with each fight. And this was a loss to a younger, hungrier girl. Josh Hokett TKO'd Max Jimenez in under a minute. I was under a minute. Great win for him and a great call out of Walter Walker and a nice poem too. He took from Billy Graham and Chael Sonnen and whoever else. It's pro wrestling shtick, and I know it seems whatever, kind of tacky and hacky, but it's fun. And I think he's going to be going the route of Colby Covington, looking to play the American asshole. Probably looking to get on the White House card and all that. I hope it doesn't get to the point where it's fucking annoying. But so far, with just a little taste of Josh Hokett, he's definitely exciting. And he's dangerous enough. Faced a little more adversity in his last fight. Also cut a nice promo there. But yeah, this is a great UFC debut because for the highlight, if nothing else. I don't know if the win over Max is going to age so well. Denise Gomes beat Tisha Pennington. I thought the first round was kind of close, but I still, in general, thought it was a shutout for Denise Gomes. I think she just hit a little harder. I don't even know what the numbers were. Tisha might have beaten her on numbers, but the strikes obviously meant more from Denise Gomes. And you know what? Positionally, she beat Tisha as well. She was just physically stronger. Tisha took her back at one point, got a little too high, a little overzealous, or whatever happened, and Denise Gomes secured top position. But no matter how she got there, whenever she got there, she was in control. Really good fighter, getting better with each fight. She's in her prime. I picked Tisha here because I'm one of those suckers who is loyal to the UFC veterans or whatever, the MMA veterans. But here, as good as Tisha is, only her durability was reliable. And she is tough as all fuck. That girl's never going to be finished either, unless it's a cut stoppage. But Denise Gomes, yeah, she faced a girl that she wasn't able to get out of there with her danger. And she faced a girl with a ton of experience and all the rest of it. And she shines with a shutout decision victory. So great win for her. Daniel Marcos got a beautiful submission win over Miles Johns. It's his first submission victory. I did not see it coming. I mean, it wasn't the biggest surprise ever, I guess. He's one of those guys, kind of like with Andre Lima last year, where I kind of saw it coming. He's mixed it up a lot, taking fighters to the ground. And Miles Johns, he's only been tapped against John Castaneda, and that was down the stretch as well. That was round 3, I believe, with the arm triangle choke. Here, this wasn't as much of a wild fight and a beatdown, but it was a pretty thorough victory from Daniel Marcos. Had a hard time going through Johns early. Johns is a big, strong wrestler, but Marcos beat him down, better outside striking, and then got on top of him and was too much. I don't know if Miles Johns expected this from Daniel Marcos. I know I didn't. But yeah, big surprise and a great, great victory in a lot of ways. And Zachary Reese beat Jackson McVeigh. I wasn't able to cover this fight. I'm a jerk off. I wish I did. I would have told you, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I would have picked Zachary Reese by decision, by submission. I would have, but not with a lot of confidence. Circumstances were going against him. Jackson McVeigh is a guy with a lot of question marks, like I said in the pre-fight for his other fight there. But Zachary Reese, I thought would be too much for him on the ground, but Jackson McVeigh, I think he's a lot in the clinch. That's how he spent his whole career. Every fight I've seen him was him roughing guys up in the clinch like that, aside from Bruno Ferreira, I guess. And here, this looked like it was going to be another victory of his that looks just the same. He was just all over Zachary Reese, roughed him up. And for a guy taking the fight on short notice, getting his fucking face smashed and being tired, even though there was, the doctor stoppage in the middle of it for whatever, the low blow. But Zachary Reese, on short notice, he did outlast Jackson McVeigh. Got him down in the end of round 1, I think, maybe, but got him down more easily in round 2 and then closed the show pretty quickly. So despite the stoppage in the middle and whatever, it was a great showcase of his traits. He got to show he can take an ass kicking, which is awesome for Zachary Reese. And he out MMA's Jackson McVeigh. McVeigh's got 3 losses, including his amateur loss, and they're all by submission. And yeah, Zachary Reese shows he's that next level for Jackson McVeigh, who may not hang around too long, but I kind of hope he does because, again, the guy is really fucking rough in the clinch. I love watching that guy fight. And you know what? Every loss of his seems like it's going to be exciting as well. That's it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. And check out my other videos like the UFC 322 breakdown, which is coming soon.